Yo, what's going on, guys? Alex here, and today I got a little bit of a different video for you. So I'm actually going to be comparing two kayaks in this video. Now the reason for this is I actually don't have a boat myself, and I really want one. I fished from a boat most of my entire life, and now that I'm on my own and everything, I just have not had the funds to purchase a boat. But I feel like I'm at that stage where I have a little bit of extra funds and I want to make that purchase. Now, buying a fishing kayak is something I've wanted to do for a long time. Now, the reason I'm not or opting out of going with a boat and going with a kayak instead is because of the maintenance and storage. So if you buy a regular boat with a gas powered motor, you've got to do constant maintenance, constant upkeep, constant gas input, that sort of thing. And so I figured a kayak would be a lot easier, and it's also a lot easier to store. And I also have experience with these fishing kayaks in the past because my dad owns a few and I've fished with them many times. Now, with all that being said, the two kayaks that I'm looking at are the Hobie's 2019 Outback with the Mirage 180 drive and Oldtown's Predator PDL 2020. Now, these two kayaks are the premier elite kayaks for fishing on the market currently, and I wanted to make an investment that's going to last me for a long time. Now, I didn't want to put $600 into a small kayak, have to do a bunch of DIY, get it ready. I want a kayak that's going to be ready to go, and that's what these kayaks are going to be providing for you. If that's the kind of kayak you're looking for, these are the ones I would highly recommend. Now, the biggest decision for me is trying to figure out which of these two kayaks to purchase because they're both awesome kayaks. I'm not down putting either of these in this video. They're both fantastic kayaks. Now, I just kind of want to go over all the specs to try to help myself make a better decision and could put all the information into one spot to help you guys get a better idea of which kayak that you might like to buy. So without further ado, let's get into comparing these two kayaks. Alright, so I'm going to be going over categories for the kayaks and kind of awarding a winner to each kayak based on that specific category, just to try to help us figure out which one we want to get. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was the specifications of the kayak itself. It's one of the most important things you have to consider, especially when storing the kayak and that sort of thing. The Hobie is going to be a 12-foot 9-inch kayak, while the Predator PDL is going to be a 13-foot 2-inch kayak. Now, I'm going to award the winner of this category to Predator PDL because a longer kayak is going to mean a faster kayak. It's going to mean a kayak that tracks a lot straighter, and those are two things that are very important to me. Because this is a replacement for a boat for me, I'm not purchasing a boat, I'm going to be using this for all scenarios. So I want it to be good for as many possible scenarios as possible, and speed's going to get me to more places, and tracking straighter is going to be less of a headache for me. And I'm a taller person myself, so a longer kayak just seems to suit me a little bit better. Now, with length, there's also width. The width of the Outback is going to be 34 inches. The width of the 20 PDL is going to be 36 inches. I've actually watched some videos on stabilization, and they both seem to be relatively similar as far as stabilization goes, but I think the Predator has better stabilization as far as standing up in the kayak and that sort of thing by just a little bit because of that little extra width. The one fault that the Predator actually has in this category is that it seats it's a little bit higher, so you're just a tidbit less stable in the Predator when you're sitting down. The higher seat actually affects your stabilization just a little bit, whereas the Hobie sits a little bit lower in the kayak, and you don't feel that rock nearly as much with the Hobie. So there's a little bit better stabilization sitting down in the Hobie, but better stabilization overall in the 2020 PDL. With this category, I'm probably going to give the winner to Hobie just because you're going to be sitting down for the majority of the time, so stabilization might be just a little bit better in that kayak. Alright, so the next category in specifications is going to be weight. Weight's actually pretty important. You need to know what kind of weight that you can actually handle. If you're going to be doing all of this by yourself, then you need to be able to handle it by yourself. The Hobie is going to be 103 pounds, and that's with the drive in, and the 2020 PDL is going to be 117 pounds with the drive in. 2020 PDL is a longer kayak, and it's also a little bit wider, so it makes sense that it would be a little bit heavier. But another addition to that weight is the actual drive itself. So the drive inside of the Hobie kayak is 8 pounds. That is super light. And the PDL drive is 21 pounds. That's a pretty incredible difference. But there's something really unique about the PDL drive that makes it a little heavier, but also gives it a more uniqueness. It actually has storage in the drive itself, whereas in the Hobie, you've got a separate storage underneath your legs. So in the Predator PDL, they actually incorporated that storage into the drive itself. But also, the drive for the PDL actually floats. The Hobie's drive does not float. Now, I haven't heard of many scenarios with people losing their drives, but it does come up. So if that's something you're worried about, the Predator's drive floats. And this is like a $500 to $1,000 drive. In my opinion, I want that to float. I do not want to drop that in the water when I've taken it out and like when I'm bringing it up on the bank, or in any scenario where I've just taken that drive out. I do not want it to sink if I drop it in the water. Now, obviously, this is easily remedied. I'm not trying to make it out to be a big deal. You just tie a cable to it, whatever, you know, and chances of you losing your drive are already small. But it's just another added feature. So I'm actually going to give this one to the Predator. Not to mention, the Predator's warranty for their drive is actually a little bit better. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the carry capacity. So you've got these long kayaks, these wide kayaks, very stable. What's the carry capacity on these things? Well, with the Hobie, you've got 425 pounds of carry capacity, where with the 2020 PDL, you've got 500 pounds of carry capacity. Now this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it Oldtown on this one. If you're a little bit bigger of a person, or you just want to carry more stuff with you, you're gonna want that extra carry capacity. You have to remember, you're in a kayak. They do flip. They do flip occasionally. They do tip. They do sit lower in the water when you weigh them down. If you're a bigger guy, that sort of thing. It's going to help to have that extra carry capacity. It just is. So I'm gonna award that one to Oldtown. All right, so the next category I want to talk about is the warranty itself. With Oldtown, you're going to get a lifetime hull warranty. They stand by their products. They've been around forever, so lifetime hull warranty there. And you've also got a 5-year warranty on the drive itself. So that's pretty cool. That's a very good warranty. Now, with Hobie, you've got a 3-year warranty on anything on the kayak for manufactured defects only. I was looking at their warranty, and it was very specific about manufactured defects. So if you've gotten your kayak and within the first 3 years you notice something that is not right or something that they messed up on, they will fix it and they will stand by it. As far as any sort of lifetime hull warranty or anything like that, they don't have anything. So I have to give this category to Oldtown, because a lifetime hull warranty, that's something to really think about. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is seats. Now, seats to me is one of the most important features of the kayak. I plan on being in my kayak for many hours a day. I want to be comfortable in it, especially if I'm going to be pedaling. You need to have that right position so that you're comfortable for long periods of time and you don't cramp up. Now, from what I've seen, the Hobie seat is a little bit more adjustable, whereas the Oldtown seat is a little bit more comfortable. Comfortability right off the bat is just talking about the design of the seat, the make of the seat, the material, that sort of thing. It just apparently seems to be a little bit more comfortable, whereas the Hobie seat sits, like I said, sits a little bit lower, but it's a little more adjustable. You've got like lumbar support and more adjustability options, just the straps on the seat and on the back, whereas the Oldtown seat just kind of slides forward and backwards and just has a more comfortable material. Now, I don't think you'll have a problem with either of these seats, but it's definitely worth sitting in them to actually see which one's more comfortable for your body type before deciding on a kayak. Now we're going to award the winner of the seat to Oldtown just based off of the information I've seen online. This is not coming from me directly, so take that for what you will. I've just seen more people talk about how the Oldtown seat a little bit more comfortable. All right, so let's talk about the movement of the kayak, yourself and the boat included. When talking about yourself, I'm talking about how you pedal the kayak. Both of them are pedal kayaks, and with the Hobie, you're actually going to be using a back and forth pedal motion, where with the PDL, you're going to be using a bicycle motion with your feet. The pedal drive on the Hobie is something my dad actually prefers because he tells me that you can kind of drop your legs. You're not using a ton of motion. You can just kind of use the weight of your legs to like just kind of drop your legs onto the pedal, and it'll pedal the kayak itself. So you can go for long periods of time, have a little bit more stamina. Now, I haven't actually used the pedal drive on the Oldtown, but it's a bicycle motion. You can't just drop your legs like he's talking about with something like that. And it sits a little bit higher up off the kayak. I haven't used it yet. I don't know the comfortability, so I can't actually award a winner in that category based off of the information I've seen. It's just going to be a personal preference. Now, with the actual motion of the kayak itself, like I said, the Predator is a longer kayak, and from any of the things that I've seen, the Predator actually has a faster turning and will turn close to like almost immediately within a few turns of your feet. With the Hobie, you actually are going to need like 10 to 15 cranks of your pedal before it actually really starts to turn. I would prefer something that turns more on a dime, just to get you out of sticky situations, and like if you're hooked into a fish, you're running into the bank, you want to turn real quick. I think that's a huge feature. Now, another category as far as motion goes is your backwards capability. So both of these kayaks offer a backwards capability, which is kind of one of the new things they didn't used to offer. With the Hobie, it's their 180 Mirage drive. Now that 180 is going to refer to the backwards capability. You've got two levers that are attached to your drive itself. Now you push one for forward, one, and then you pull one for backward. Now that's not something that happens instantaneously. That's something you've got to get down there and actually pull on the cables to make happen. If you're pedaling straight forward, you're fishing, you hook into a fish, and then you're going straight towards the bank and you want to reverse backwards, you've got to take one hand off, pull that, and then start reversing. Now it's not something we call instant reverse, which is something the Predator offers, which is why I'm actually going to give this category to the Predator as well. They actually has instant reverse. It's just like a bicycle. You pedal forward, you pedal backwards. You can just start getting out of that cover, getting away from the bank a lot quicker. And it's a little bit faster of a kayak and it's better turning, so you're actually going to be able to get out of those situations a little bit better. So that is a category we have to give to the Oldtown Predator. All right, so now let's talk about price point of these two boats. Now, obviously, they're both phenomenal boats. They both have tons of features that are so similar to each other, and they're both going to perform very well on the water for you. Determining which one to buy, the price could be the big determining factor for you. It's kind of being that for me at the moment. Let's talk about Hobie's price point. $2,949. That's a lot of money for a kayak. Let's talk about why it costs $2,949. One thing the Hobie does have going for it is it actually comes with a paddle. That might be an extra $100 that you've got to spend on a nice paddle if you buy a different boat that doesn't come with one. Like the Oldtown, it does not come with a paddle. The Hobie also had to increase their price while it was on the shelf, so it actually used to be a cheaper price. This is due to some tariffs. Now there's a lot of discussion and stuff you can look up about that. I'm not going to get into that, just talking about the price point itself. All right, so for $2,949, you get the Hobie, you get its paddle, comes with its warranties, that sort of thing, and that's directly off the shelf. No attachments, no nothing like that, just all of the normal things that it comes with. With the Oldtown PDL, you're looking at a $2,499 price point, $450 cheaper than the Hobie. And as you can probably tell in this review, I'm kind of leaning towards Oldtown myself because of one, the price point, and two, as you can see, a lot of the categories I was given to Oldtown. I'm really kind of leaning towards the Oldtown, but I know Hobie's a fantastic product, and there might just be more of a justification for Hobie just because it has such a good following. I'm not one to buy into a kayak just for its following. I want to know exactly how this kayak's going to work for me. That $2,499 price point, like I mentioned, does not come with a paddle, so you might actually have to spend $100 extra on the paddle. You have to take that into consideration. It's something small, but you still have to take everything into consideration. And with all that being said, I, for one, am leaning towards the Predator, like I mentioned. So that's it for as far as comparing the two kayaks. Now, the real question is, which one do we buy? Let me know in the comments. Are you a Hobie fanboy? Are you an Oldtown fanboy? Which kayak would you buy? Or which kayak do you already have? Are you loving it? Or do you regret the purchase? Would you have rather bought the other one? Let me know. Really interested. I'm just trying to make this video just to help people decide and help myself decide. So let me know those things down in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and always remember, guys, a bad day fishing is better than a good day anywhere else. We'll see you guys in the next video, and hopefully we'll have a kayak soon.